here in the greenhouse, everything's looking super good. Catnip's ready to be harvested. Nice flowers. So you can see how since the last garden video how the lemon basil has gotten so large. So pretty soon I'll be cultivating that. Peppers are looking really good. I did add compost to the beds this year. It's been a while since I amended the soil, so I think that really helps. Also, of course, fertilizer. The thing about growing in the greenhouse is plants that have complete flowers like tomatoes and peppers need to be agitated, because having a complete flower means they have both the male and female parts, and for the pollen to get to the parts it needs to grow the vegetable that you want, they need to be agitated. So I have fans in here, and also I'll come and just move them. So we are getting a few peppers here and there. We should start getting a lot more now. Tomatoes, I tried to do the same thing. I'm getting a few tomatoes, but I fear I'm not going to get as many because I wasn't agitating them. But that's okay. We don't need that many tomatoes. Those are aromas. So we'll see what happens. I see a few coming along. Seems like it takes forever for tomatoes to get going to where we can pick them. They're a long-term plant. Here in the well garden, everything's looking good as well. So far, so good. Even though we've had some pretty rough storms, all the plants have survived. I lost a few onions, you know, with their greens fell down. But the zinnias are really beautiful. My tomatillos, and I mentioned last time that this is the month that everything really starts growing almost overnight. And that's when plants actually do grow, is at night, kind of like humans in a way. They absorb all the nutrients during the day, and while they're sleeping, they grow. So things just grow so fast this time of year. So it's kind of nice to come out every morning and see what's changed. We are getting a few tomatoes out here on one of these plants here and there. You can usually tell you're going to start getting tomatoes when, well, there's one right there. They start getting a little fuzzy around the flowers. The only, other than the aromas in the greenhouse, in this garden, I'm growing Cherokee Purple and Aunt Ruby's German Green, something to that effect. It's an old heritage one, had some leftover seeds. And they get really big, unwieldy plants. The tomatoes are usually quite large, and they stay green. The beans have been successful the second time around. So that's nice. Still waiting for some to germinate. I use a Earthway seeder. It's a little push seeder. It has various plates that go in the seeder, and sometimes it doesn't distribute the seeds exactly where you want them, but it's still a lot easier than trying to do it by hand, that's for sure. And beans don't mind being crowded out. The nice thing about growing beans or any legume, it affixes nitrogen to the soil, so that's why it's nice to put them in different areas. My butterfly weed, I started from seed years ago, comes back every year, a perennial, just a beautiful flower. I'm still waiting on these hollyhocks to bloom. It shouldn't be long. It's actually taller than me now. Yeah, you can see all the moisture on the plants, and that's the problem we have here. Is with you get your cool nights and moisture, you get your, if they stay moist all night, that's when you start getting your fungus, and overnight, literally your plants can die. So you gotta keep an eye on them. But that's the nice thing about the straw too, is when it does rain, not too much dirt splashes back up on the leaves. Now, the State Fair apple tree, we did have quite a few buds on it, but as you can see, there is no apples. This tree can be a biennial at times. It's been a while since it's gone to stage where it will only give us fruit every other year, and so it's kind of resting itself, it looks like. But it's good because it's really getting a nice growth here, which I probably will have to get in here and prune a little bit just for the airflow. So it's a beautiful tree. It's kind of a minimalist garden. We're not growing too much this year in any of the gardens, just to keep workload a little down. And when I say work, I don't mean actual work, the labor. I like to garden, so I don't consider it work. These grapevines have just really going it down this year. I just let them go wild. Some years they actually do kind of crawl up. I try to tie them up, but as long as the fruit's off the ground, I don't mind too much that they're kind of crazy. But you can see the grapes are coming along just fine. Won't be long. These pansies are called, they're black. Aren't they beautiful? That's what they were called. To me, they're more of a deep, deep purple. Some more butterfly weed here that decided to sow itself there. Elderberries are starting to flower. Again, it seems very late, but once they do bloom, you can make teas out of the flowers if you want, fritters, things of that nature. Of course, we just wait for the berries and collect the berries. Pinks are finally blooming too. Here it is, what, the first week of July. The potatoes, so far so good. I like to cut this time of year, once I got everything pretty much under control, what I like to do is come into each garden first thing, ward off any issues, check for bugs, do a good surveillance, and then I choose, usually I have a routine each day, work in one garden, get it back under control. But the first thing I like to do is come in each garden and check for issues that need to be addressed. It's easy to get distracted and neglect one garden over the other if there's major issues. I've been coming in every day, maybe twice. Got a little cup of soapy water to get these darn Schaefer bugs so they don't lay eggs for next year. I even noticed a couple on my Shasta daisies in the greenhouse garden, which was disappointing. So that's one thing I like to do. These black currants are starting to get ready to be picked. More green than ripe. That's the problem sometimes when you want to get them off the vine or the shrub. And let's go look at the blueberries. The spaghetti squash has really taken off. We have some ripe cherries. If the birds haven't gotten to them, they're starting to ripen. Didn't get as many as we usually do, which is fine. Don't have to worry about over picking them. But you can see how small they are compared to your other cherries. They do have a pit, but they're nice and tasty. Still got a ways before we can pick any of our blueberries. This is a happy little corner. They really enjoy it in this corner. It's mostly sun, but also get some shade. I do see one ripe one I'm gonna have to get. Kind of painted myself in the corner. They've gotten so big. There we go. That's what, again, like I said, got to come in these gardens. They're pretty nice sized ones. Make sure we're getting the fruit that we worked so hard on. Breakfast. The jalapeno peppers in the greenhouse I store-bought because my ones I started from seed were just not doing well. And a couple of them just died because they were the stems. I think cutworms got them. One I hoed out. I always do that. That's why I plant more than we need. But the survivors are doing real well in this little corner. The Juneberry Saskatoons, a little smaller this year too than normal, but I need to come out here and get these. Good. Kind of missed it, but you can see my wisteria has bloomed. It's about ready to stop. I noticed that about a week ago. And this is a peony, the only one I kept because this is when all those darn Schaefer bugs love, but they're attacking my roses this year. So who knows? Every year's different. Got another volunteer potato I found. Almost hoed it out. I did, as I mentioned before, I got all the scapes, garlic scapes off of the garlic. So we'll start forming the bulbs. So I froze a lot of it. I made a garlic scape pesto, and today I'm going to make a chimichurri with them. Then we'll freeze it and we can add it to our meals when we want it. These are actual Market More pickles, not pickles, but cucumbers. I decided to go ahead and plant them. A little late, but we should get some. Beautiful day. It's always nice to come in the gardens at this time of morning. My black-eyed Susans are coming back real nice. They can be pretty prolific, but I don't mind. Let them go where they want. Same thing with my blanket flowers there. We shouldn't be long before we start getting some zucchini. We're looking forward to that. Beautiful plants. Also, any squash is also susceptible to this wetness, this dampness, and they can get the blight as well. Pickles I replanted are finally germinating. The few that survived are getting big. The okra's finally getting started here. If I'd stop weeding them out, I've weeded like 3 or 4 out. Sometimes I start daydreaming when I'm weeding, and next thing you know, I've weeded out a plant that I want. And here we got some Schaefer bugs right on here. Get them while I see them. They just are evil, just evil. First time they've ever attacked my Shasta daisies. It's always disappointing. They just ruin everything. That's why we can't have nice things, right? So, the potatoes blooming. Signals it's starting to make our tubers. So it's nice that we have plenty. Here we got a white flower here, and of course this is a purple flower, indicate it's more than likely a red potato. My favorite potatoes like Kennebec, and they're Norland Reds. So those are a few of the varieties I planted. Right here, my 4 rows of carrots. Hard to see. I've been weeding around them, but here they are. That's why I said they kind of look like grass. actually more like dill. That's what dill looks like as well. But I haven't weeded here just in case there's some late seeds that haven't germinated. But after a couple more days, I'm just going to have to get those out of there so they don't crowd out my carrots. But we'll have enough. I planted a variety. I planted Danvers half long and a variety packet of different colors. Looking forward to our cabbage to make sauerkraut eventually. Again, we have a lot of area. We could plant a lot more if we choose to. I can also move a lot of that straw if I need to plant in different areas. But like I said, this year we've kind of just taken it easy, planting a handful of things here and there, things that we really like. So we're not inundated with harvesting and canning and things of that nature. Some more oregano. I should just plant oregano everywhere. It does well no matter where you put it. You can see the cranberries. These are usually ripen later in fall. And they're not like your cranberries you buy in the store. These are considered high bush cranberries. They're tinier. They're not the kind that you put in a bog and float and gather up. My hostas, these hostas here are really old. They were here when we purchased the house 17 years ago, but they were in an area we didn't want, so we threw them in the woods because we didn't have time to plant them at the time. And so one day Jesse noticed they were still going well in the woods, so I took them back out a couple years ago and planted them here. They're really nicely taking off there. Good shady area for them. But yeah, just nice. It's just nice to come out and enjoy the peace and quiet and to listen to the birds and my gopher chasers. And they're actually working real well. The gophers have not come back, so I do recommend them if you're having a gopher problem. Just got to get them in the ground soon, early spring, once the ground's thawed, obviously. And also the ground has to be moist to be effective. So, you know, with our sandy soil, that could be a problem, but we've had a lot of rain, plus I water. But yeah, I got lucky this year. We captured the problem real early, so gopher's gone for now. Cross our fingers. So anyway, we'll see you real soon.